Hello, everyone. 5150 here. Thank you for tuning in. And welcome to another episode of 5150 Does Minecraft. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome back to another thrill-packed episode of 5150 Plays Minecraft. Well, okay, maybe not exactly thrill-packed, but, well, you get it. Okay, so once upon a time, I used to set up servers for Minecraft for people to play on. So what I thought I would do today is show you how I do one of my favorite things. When I set up a server for players, I like to give them an incentive to get out and explore. It's real easy to spend this entire game under the surface, underground mining. So I like to give my players a good incentive to get out and explore and see the map. So what I do is I like to place very useful things in various random places. And one of the things I like to place is very large deposits of oil. And I'm going to show you right now how I create one of these. Now, for this, I'm going to need a couple of machines. The previous episode was heavy with Buildcraft Builder's add-on. And this episode is going to be no different. We're going to be using a couple of machines from that mod very heavily in making this oil deposit. Excuse me. Okay, so I have my boundary laid out. Now, I need to dig a hole down to bedrock, 64 by 64 internal dimension. And I have put these markers down at 64 block distances. But if I use a quarry from Buildcraft, let me show you what those look like. Okay, if I use a quarry from Buildcraft, it will excavate everything inside of. So it will leave this strip of land all the way around. So it will excavate 62 by 62 all the way down to bedrock. Well, I need 64 by 64. So we need a quarry that is not limited as to the possible size. And for that, we will look to Extra Utilities, a mod that we will be getting into more in depth later on in this series. I'm going to use an Ender Quarry, speed upgrade, and a hole in the world, I call it upgrade, or a world hole upgrade. Now, the reason, or the way I'm going to set this up, I also need a marker. There we go. Okay, so now I have everything I need. So now the way that this is going to be set up is I need the Ender Quarry because it will also leave one row on the outside, the one directly between the markers. It will start quarrying here one block in, which will give me an exactly 64 by 64 down to bedrock hole. So let me go and place this. Oops, I goofed. still need that. Okay, here we go. Yep, there it is. I'm going to place another ender marker there, and you'll see this one has connected with the one I placed before. You see that that purple particle effect there. And now I'll go over to this one. And place that. And you'll notice that it also has connected with the one there in the middle. So now we have this one here in the middle. You can see is connected with that one there and that one in that direction. Okay, now we no longer need those markers because we're not going to use them. We're going to use an ender quarry. Now, once you've laid an ender quarry directly next to the marker connected with two others, right-click on it, and it will establish the boundary. Now, one of the neat things about this quarry is the Buildcraft quarry. I can't chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Look at this. The Buildcraft quarry loads all of the chunks that it's dealing with. The ender quarry here only loads the chunk that it is digging in at the time. So it is a lot less heavy processor and memory wise. So I'm going to finish getting this set up. I'm going to set up an ME system, and we'll be covering that in another episode. So I'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, we're back now, and you can see the ender quarry is digging away. Now what I did is I just set up a basic ME system, just a drive enclosure and some drives in it, so that all of the stuff I'm digging out of here has somewhere to go. That'll be easy to break down and dispose of when we're done. And so here we are. The ender quarry is digging a big hole. Now, obviously, you don't want to sit here and watch it dig a big hole. So I will be back with you as soon as it is done. Well, okay, here we are back again, and the hole is complete. This hole is exactly internal dimension 64 by 64 by 64. And it's actually almost exactly 64 down to bedrock. It should be. No, it's closer to 60 down to bedrock. Okay, so now let's get started with the oil tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of these walls as my starting point, and I'll use this one here because it's handy. And I'm going to start to lay out one of the walls of the tank, and we'll just use oak wood planks for this. Don't need all this stuff right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay oak wood planks all the way down to the other end. This will be exactly one stack or 64 planks. Okay, now I can go ahead and start working from this end. Now, because the tank goes all the way up to the walls of this hole, I need some room to work. So what I'm going to do is create some. I'm just going to okay. And there. do this all the way down to this end. Yep. All right, that should give me enough room to do the work I need to do. There we go. And I'll use one of my favorite tools of all time, a filler. Set it to clear. Give it some power. And there it goes. I will likely have some gravel to clear out, but that's all right. Okay, I'm not going to make you watch all this stuff. I'll be back with you. Well, shoot, heck, it's almost done. All right, just hang out for a minute. This will be done very soon. Okay, so it's done enough for us to get started. So what we need to do now is we need to lay out the internal part of this tank. This is one of the walls. I'm going to put another one down. As a matter of fact, I can do that right now. Okay, and this will go all the way down to the other end. There. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to begin to establish the other two boundaries of the tank, as well as what's going to go inside of it. And I need to copy these things. I'm going to use a tool from Buildcraft, Builder's Mod, to duplicate what we have. And it, like other Buildcraft stuff, it uses these markers. Now, these markers have a limit of 64 blocks. These two markers are exactly 64 blocks apart. If I bring one back one, now we're 65 blocks apart. Right-click on it, and nothing happens. Place one here, right-click, and we establish a connection. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Buildcraft Builder, and the machine we're going to use now is an architect table. I'm also going to need a builder. Okay, so I'm going to place down an architect table, and again, notice it created this blue and black line, essentially the line it's working along. So now we have that established for our copier. We need to put in what we want it to copy. So I'm going to place a plank, an oak wood plank at each end. That will establish the other two walls that we need. Now we need to set what we want the tank to hold. I normally use oil. However, you can use any liquid from the game that you want to use. You can use lava, you can use milk, you can use anything that you want. But I normally use oil, so I'll go ahead and use it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a source block of oil in all of the 62 blocks between these two planks. And I'm making sure that I get one source block on each block. Okay, now it's going to run all in here, but that's all right. Okay, so now that I have established what I want to copy, I will, let me adjust this a bit. That's better. Okay, I will turn rotate off, leave excavate on, set to creative, and I'm going to need blueprints. Here we go. All right. Clear things out of here. Okay, so I'm going to name this row because it's one row of the bottom of the tank. Now I have a blueprint. Now, this is a building block. Put the blueprint in the builder. Give the builder some power. And it replicates the row that we copied with the architect table. So now what I can do is just set a row of these builder blocks all the way across. And then give them power and give them the blueprint they need, and they will create an entire bottom level. I'm not going to force you to sit here and watch me do this whole thing. It's going to take several minutes to complete. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you for just a moment, but I will be right back. Okay, that's all done. And here we are. We now have a 1 block deep 64 by 64 tank of oil. Now, we want it to be more than 1 block deep. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use the architect table again to get a snapshot of this entire layer right here. But if you remember, as I said, the markers must be placed within 64 blocks of each other. Otherwise, they will not connect. They won't work. So what I'm going to have to do is take the corners out, the corners of the tank, in order to get the markers to connect up and work. But since the Buildcraft builder equipment works on everything in between the lines as well as everything the lines intersect, that means we'll get everything. Okay, and we'll set the architect table here. And you'll notice the lines have gone blue and black. So I'm going to replace the corners because aesthetically I think it looks better. Do all the way across. Okay, so now one of the really neat things about this setup, or about the architect table and the blueprints, is these blueprints are re-encodable. Okay, this is a layer. So all I have to do is put these row blueprints back in there, and they will be re-encoded to the layer. See? Okay, there we go. So what I will do is place a builder and a blueprint. Give the builder some power, and there you have it. It will establish the tank first, and then it will fill it with liquid. Then we will have a 2-block deep tank of oil. But we want to go deeper yet. So all we have to do is to continue to stack layer upon layer up as high as we want. Now, this process is going to take a long time to do, and I have no intention of making you sit through all of it. I'm considering doing some time lapse. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna probably edit this next part out because it's long and you probably don't want to see it. It'd probably bore you to tears. So I'll be back with you as soon as this is done. Okay, so here is one huge tank of oil. And actually, I can take this up as high as I want, up to about 256 blocks above bedrock. Right now, we're at about 71 blocks above bedrock. It's not necessary for me to make this a whole bunch taller. I'm sure that you understand the concept behind it. And heck, if you want, you could do one like this for a server you're working on. Well, that's about all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning in. 5150 out.